What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. The transfer window has 2 hours to run and Liverpool Football Club look like their business is done. Tonight, I'm going to take you through why this window has been wholly unacceptable and why people like Ian Doyle of the Echo need to give their heads a wobble and stop trying to belittle other Liverpool fans. I've seen it in the comments already here tonight before I started my stream. People trying to run us down, talking about this isn't computer games in life. I'm going to give you my version of why I think everybody that is making excuses for the lack of business in this window are, well, incorrect, shall we say. So I'm going to do my best over the course of the night to give you my take on why this window has been absolutely unacceptable. I'm going to try be calm, measured and exacting in what I have to say, but make no mistake about it, this has been an abject failure to solve one of the 3 positions that we knew we needed going into this window. Is absolutely unacceptable, and I'm going to take you through my thoughts on why the can has once again been kicked down the road and people like Ian Doyle are going to try and belittle the rest of us for daring to have some ambition, trying to paint us all as some bunch of lunatics that want to be Chelsea. No. We will go through that and I will give you exactly my reasoning why I don't trust these owners in the transfer market. I'm not going to tell anybody else how to feel. You are all free to have your own thoughts. But for me, it's unacceptable and it's something that we knew was going to happen. We warned about it all window and here we are at the end of the window with nothing happening. Shocked? No. It's exactly what we knew was going to happen because John W. Henry and FSG are cheap. John W. Henry and FSG don't want to win. John W. Henry and FSG have fooled so many people for so long, but it's about time that those who haven't had a voice have a voice, and I'm going to try my best to articulate exactly why we believe we've been left short. Right, Bricktop, thank you for gifting 5 membership, mate. I really appreciate that, and thank you so much. Look, the objectives going into this... Actually, do you know what? Firstly, let me just bring this up on screen for you, because I think this will make it all a little bit easier to explain. So this is what Ian Doyle of the Echo has had to say about his fellow Liverpool fans, or Liverpool fans in general. Just got out of a Blood Red Live podcast. There was a lot of angry Liverpool fans on it who hate FSG, and some would sooner the club was like Chelsea and Man United. Anyway, Stefan Bajcetic, season-long loan to Red Bull Salzburg, confirmed. So, Ian, you arrogant little man, let me explain to you why you can't simply just vilify your fellow Liverpool fans or the Liverpool fans who are the readers of, if there's any left, of the Echo. I'm going to tell you why you're very, very wrong. This isn't about wanting to be Chelsea or Manchester United, and I would argue that there was probably nobody in the comments of the Blood Red podcast asking Liverpool to become Chelsea. We all know what a mess Chelsea is, and we all know how poorly run Manchester United have been. But here's the thing, Ian. You write for a publication to represent the city of Liverpool, even though it's printed in Manchester, and represent and give a voice to Liverpool fans. What you continue to do is not be objective in your reporting, to be a shill, to simply parrot what the club want put out there, in the hope that, of course, you get that little John W. Henry interview once every 2 years where basically, let's be honest, Ian, he comes along, gives you a little pat on the head, tells you you're a good boy, and we all go about our business. You and every other journalist covered this transfer window and let us all know what the ambitions were going into the window. I didn't make it up. The fans that you're looking to piss all over didn't make it up. It was put out there that Liverpool needed a centre-back, a central midfielder, and a utility forward. Now, Ian, objectively, have we achieved those aims? I think the answer you're looking for is no. I'm not going to give you a get out of jail free card where I sit here and mock you. I'm going to give you the facts of the situation and why I and many other Liverpool fans are sick of being vilified and looked down upon by the likes of you, who are supposed to be a journalist. When you went to college to become a journalist, is this what you wanted to become? A shill who simply parrots a club's opinion and has no objectivity? Your job is to ask the difficult questions. Your job is to represent your readers, and you are either unwilling or unable to do that. So fan channels like myself have had to step up and say what you won't. These owners are purposely not spending money to strengthen the team. These owners have told us on many times that they want to under-promise and over-deliver. I ask you, Ian, have they over-delivered in this transfer window? So rather than mock Liverpool fans and call them clowns who want to be like Chelsea fans or Manchester United, how about just thinking about it objectively? In this window, one of the 3 additions that we were looking to bring in has been done. The club have once again been embarrassed in the transfer market by the 4th player who has refused to join to become Liverpool's number 6. And I don't know what school you went to, Ian, but for me, 4 players turning down Liverpool Football Club is not a good look. The media in Spain mocking and laughing at Liverpool and Zubamendi not coming is not a good look. Be objective. Ask, are these owners really doing everything, or do you just like feeling superior to others? Because that is what I've had to be up against for the last year. Rather than explain to us why we're wrong, it's far easier to punch down, isn't it? It's far easier to punch down to fans than explain why they're wrong. When has non-communication ever worked? Divisiveness is what feeds contempt. We need to come together and talk about these issues. So if you believe that Liverpool fans who dare to question the owners are wrong, explain why, rather than vilifying them and taking the lazy route out. I will happily debate anybody at any time and any place about why I believe these owners are abject and why I believe these owners have pulled the wool over our eyes, ranging from the Super League to the furloughing of staff to the £77 tickets and many other things that you seem unable or unwilling to comprehend that my fellow fans are annoyed about. Do you not think, looking around at this transfer window where we haven't strengthened and we have added one fringe player in Chiesa who was competition for the front line, on its own, a fantastic deal. Taking it in the object nature that we're supposed to, no problem with it. Good value, good wages, good deal. Same with Mamardashvili. But what you again fail to understand is we have failed to go into the window and execute our plans. Excuses are just that, and Liverpool fans, Ian, are sick of them. We're sick of being told about a bright promise down the line or a bright future or the promise of signings in the next window. They never materialise. We are manipulated, we are lied to, and we are fed up. And if you are unable to comprehend that, Ian, then I'm sorry, mate, but you've got bigger problems. So stop vilifying the rest of us. I am well able to articulate my position, but the problem is accounts and echo-based journalists just blank us. Don't even give us time. Don't even give us a voice. So we've created our own platform. And I am going to be that voice for fans who feel vilified. I am going to be that voice who stands up for fans and calls out the owners. Not because we want to be like Chelsea or Manchester United. Because we had a taste of success and we want it again. We grew up knowing Liverpool exists to win trophies. We grew up seeing Crazy Horse Phil Thompson and many others lifting that European Cup above their head. So why now all of a sudden is ambition an ugly word? Over to you, Ian. But as always, I expect nothing from you because you haven't got the backbone to even acknowledge our existence on Anfield Agenda. So you can keep quiet and continue on laughing and mocking and looking down at people, but we're building a community here with a voice, and these fans need to be heard whether you like it or not. So, my friends, that's how I feel about Mr. Doyle and anybody else who is unobjective and refuses to acknowledge what the rest of us see. This isn't about us being FIFA fans. This isn't about us playing Fantasy Manager. This is about us looking at what our competition are doing, looking at what our contemporaries are doing, and asking, why have FSG gone into another transfer window and made a profit? Made a profit. Pathetic. Quite simply pathetic. Mohamed John Soliev. Is it possible that they can announce a player after the window closes? Yes and no, my friend. Usually, if a deal's coming close, you would ask for a deal sheet, meaning that you get an extension, but you supply proof that the deal is almost there. So it isn't impossible, bro, but I wouldn't be holding my breath either. Now, with regards to contract extensions and the likes, of course, they can be done at any time. Benjamin Alford, thank you, mate, for your super chat. Said, spent nothing, No new contract, no nothing. It's not even been fun today. Top 4, love-a-thon business. Exactly, mate. And that's exactly how I feel right now. Disgusted. Disgusted that after another window of failure, that we're trying to spin this somehow into a win. Let me tell you how I take it. This is how I see it. I view it that Liverpool have sent Stefan Bajcetic on loan over to Salzburg in the hope that he comes good, comes back and solves the number 6 position in the future. Now, you might argue that there's nothing wrong with that. And in some context, fair enough. But it's another year that goes by, another season that goes by, where we're having to hope that things go right rather than doing our best to make sure that things go right. We have to once again hope we don't pick up injuries at centre-back. Because right now, Nat Phillips could be closing in on a loan to Derby, which would mean we have 4 fit senior centre-backs, one of whom we don't usually even play at centre-back anymore in Joe Gomez, as he plays in a full-back position. So how have we strengthened? How are we in a better position than when we went into this window? We've gotten rid of Sepp van den Berg, who could have been a 5th option, and in itself, that deal is very good business. We've gotten rid of Nat Phillips if he goes on loan. He's already gone, so it's done. So now we've got 4. Canade is injury prone, to say the least. Virgil has had a very good year. Kwanzaa is a young, inexperienced centre-back making his way. And Joe Gomez, we don't even play at centre-back half the time when he's available. So how have we strengthened? How have we improved in this window? We haven't. We've once again been manipulated into believing that there is some master plan that us tickos can't comprehend. I don't have another season to just continue to waste away watching others pick up trophies while we hope that our youngsters that are gone out on loan develop, and hope that after that they aren't just sold like Bobby Clark, who was another promising youngster who we were told Liverpool had a bright future for. Now he's over at Red Bull Salzburg as a Salzburg player permanently. Make that make sense. Here we have the usual argument from Warren, like everybody else. If Liverpool are that bad, don't support them. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me that I dare not have ambition. And have I said Liverpool are that bad? Have you heard me speak about the players, the manager in any kind of a negative way? No. You've heard me challenging the owners to be ambitious, Warren. I'm not going to take the bait from people like you tonight who don't come in and argue or debate in good faith. You, like Ian Doyle and everybody else, just take the position that if you disagree with us, that we're wrong and idiots and you're better. I'm sorry, those days are over. Those days are done. Because our position is well and truly established and our position is more than fair. We aren't asking to be another Real Madrid. We are asking for our owners to do what teams in and around us are doing, which is strengthening. If you can't get that through your head, then just don't bother commenting or watching my content and go elsewhere, which you're free to do. But what you're not going to do, Warren, is come in and belittle me or my community for daring to have ambition. Roosba, thank you, my friend, for your super chat. I think Klopp's big personality helped us advocate for our interest to the owners. I'm worried that Slot might be a yes man for the owners. Now, obviously I don't know Arne Slot, but he doesn't strike me as a yes man. He strikes me as a man who will do what he needs to do. And I have every faith in him. And it's partially because I have every faith and belief in Arne Slot that I'm even more angry at these owners. Because he's the guy they picked. He's the guy that the recruitment team brought in and they have not supported him in the market. And that to me is inexcusable. Boxed Will, thank you mate, said, keep speaking the truth mate. Pathetic transfer window. Absolutely unacceptable not to get a DM and centre-back depth. FSG out. See, here's the thing, Boxed Will. I'm just fed up of it, mate. Nobody will enter into a dialogue with any of us. Nobody will explain to us why their genius is absolutely correct and we're wrong. It's far easier for people to just vilify everybody and point fingers and laugh at them. Well, who's laughing now? Who's going to be laughing when once again we don't win a Premier League title and once again we fall away as the season goes on and players pick up knock strains and get fatigued when the squad depth isn't there? Surely as Liverpool fans, that's what all of us want. We want to believe that the squad is ready. The squad wasn't ready last year. We've added Chiesa to it, which in and itself is good business. But we haven't brought in a centre-back. We've weakened there. And we haven't brought in a midfielder. We've weakened there. And I'm supposed to believe that this is somehow a victory? That this is somehow clever? It's pathetic. And it's unacceptable. And it's ever so predictable, unfortunately. Will, how are you, mate? Said, evening, Craig. Chiesa is a great signing, but Arna will now realise that FSG take much out of the club with putting very little back in. FSG out. On the owners, Will, all I want is for them to make us competitive and really give us the ability to challenge. Remember last night, for that brief hour where we thought maybe Alan Varela was possible? Do you remember what I said during that stream? Because feel free to go back and watch it, anyone, if they don't believe what I'm about to say. I said, if Varela gets signed and we do the business that we all hoped and were told we were looking to do, I will be on here putting my hands up in the air and saying, I'm sorry, you got the business done. Fair play to the owners and fair play to the sporting director and Michael Edwards. I said those words just last night and I meant every single one of them. But that didn't come to fruition, did it? And as we sit here now, in my humble opinion, outside of the attackers, we have weakened ourselves in this window. Not strengthened, weakened. What has strengthened is the cash flow, because they've turned a profit in a summer transfer window. That is pathetic. Jamal said, unreal. Bet we sign Rabiot, fooling FSG lovers again. I just don't understand at this point how people can't objectively look at these owners and think that they just don't want to win. I don't get it. Like every other club is leaving no stone unturned, and you can talk about Chelsea being a little too much in the other direction. You can talk about United wasting money. We have apparently a great collection of sporting directors and recruitment staff who do nothing. What's the point of having these brilliant recruitment staff if they don't do their jobs? If they don't have a plan A and a plan B? What's the point of the club being embarrassed again, failing to sign another number 6? Tchouaméni, Caicedo, Lavia and now Zubamendi. And I'm supposed to believe that we're just idiots who don't see the master plan. The master plan is this. The owners are happy to write off another season while they pray that Stefan Bajcetic becomes the number 6 and they don't have to spend money. If that works, best case scenario, great for the future, but not very good for another season where we're going to go in underprepared and understaffed. Cheap option, always. Nothing clever about being cheap. They're just cheap. Robert Cosby said Chiesa was bought to fool Liverpool fans into believing on more deals. On Federico Chiesa, actually, Robert, while I'm speaking about him, let me just say, I watched the signing day vlog, and it was a really good watch. To see the joy, the excitement, and the sincere happiness in his face, in his eyes, it was beautiful. You could see how much playing for Liverpool Football Club meant to him, and it really was a great watch. So well done to everybody involved with that. He looks like he's here to do well and that he's serious about it, and he looks like he knows he signed for one of the biggest clubs in the world, and he looks up for it. So welcome Federico Chiesa to the greatest football club on the planet, my friend. And it was lovely to see that. He really, really did seem excited and happy to be at Liverpool Football Club, which is, of course, what we all want to see. Adam said, if you love Liverpool, you must pressure to be the best. Exactly. There is no other walk of life that I can think of where we would accept mediocrity. You wouldn't accept it from your educators. You wouldn't accept it from your politicians. Why should we accept it from the owners of our football club who, in their own words, say that they want to under-promise and over-deliver? When have they ever done that? Mohammed Mohammed Usman Khan, how are you, my friend? Said, how about another loan for Disasi, centre-back from Chelsea? Mate, honestly, I just feel incredibly disheartened after the window, Mohammed. It had the promise of so much. And just look at last night, for that hour where we believed that deal might have been possible. Look at the goodwill. Look at the positivity. From even people like me who've been stern critics of these owners, that have put their hands up and said, if this comes off, well done. I'm not afraid to say I'm wrong. I'm not afraid to admit if I don't see an angle that is there. But you can't just expect us to continuously take a leap of faith when everything in front of our eyes tells us that it isn't going to happen down the line either. We aren't going to get generational talent. We aren't going to sign the best in the world. We aren't going to be under-promised and over-delivered to. We are going to be manipulated and laughed at, while once again we've made a profit in a window. And not because we've made a profit, because we've done exceptional business that has brought in a load of money and we've used that money to go out and bring in players. No, we've sold promising young players like Bobby Clark from underneath the manager. Harry Klein said, what hurts the most is I truly believe we're a 6 away from a title, but if any of Trent, Salah, VVD were to leave, we're an extra player away from a title. And that's another thing that we haven't even begun to address, is the club have allowed Trent Alexander-Arnold to get into a position where he now dictates what happens. The club have taken their eye off the ball with a local homegrown kid who grew up idolising Liverpool and wants to go on to become the club's captain, and they haven't even been bothered to sit him down and give him a contract offer. You've seen Virgil van Dijk, Arne Slot and everybody else come out and said that they expect signings, they trust the people that are doing the business. Well, they've let them down again. What ambition are we showing to keep Trent? What ambition are we showing? Trent's going to look around going, not really done much here, have we? So, is that going to make it likely that Trent's chomping at the bit? No, once again, we're pulling on the heartstrings and hoping that Trent's love for the club will usurp any other offers and that he'll stay. But we haven't made it a point of contention. We haven't made it a fact to go out there and make sure Trent knows he's loved, wanted. This contract should have been sorted 9 months ago. And by the way, any comments that are in the chat saying another lazy take, at least I'm giving you a take. At least I'm explaining my stance. And I'm not just ridiculing people who have another opinion. I'm telling you why I feel the way I feel. If you feel differently, no problem. Explain yourself and we'll talk about it. Ridiculing, mocking and trying to laugh at the rest of us is not going to work. Stevie Boy said, so to all the FSG fanboys, what do you think of these owners now? Made a profit in the transfer window. Make sense of that. It's not FIFA, Stevie Boy. You know, it's not Fantasy Manager, bro. You and I don't understand the genius at work here. We're just tickos. Euro's new manager and staff, I think FSG are right. Okay, let's look at that. So if the plan was for FSG not to do this, why the briefings? Why the journalists being told that we were expecting 3 signings? Why the centre-back, centre midfielder? So what have they done right in this situation? They've brought in Arne Slot. They've let him assess his squad. They've removed some of the younger players and cashed in. They have future-proofed the goalkeeping position, which I think everybody will acknowledge and say fair play. But otherwise, they're right about what? Because they've written off another season for the fans that are paying their money to go and watch the games, TV subscriptions. Well, they hope that the cheap option turns out to be the right option once again. So I respect your viewpoint. You haven't really given me much to work with there other than Euro's new manager and staff. I think FSG are right. Most other clubs would back their new manager to make a statement to believe that's the guy. We're putting our faith in Arne Slot. We're going to get behind him and we're going to strengthen for him. I don't want the man to become a sacrificial lamb. That's my point. My photo story _23. Craig, I was hoping we would replace Matip, Thiago and get a CDM. Limit the amount of injuries. That's not happening now. I hope we buy in January. You see, there's that word again. Hope. And that's what these crowd have lived off. Is that promise of a brighter future. That kicking the can down the road to... You'll see it all come out over the next week or two. Like clockwork. You'll see it all written about how they have plans in place. Expect a big January or a big summer next summer. But go back and look at last year. Go back and look at the season before. All of these things are written every single year. And some people just seem to lap it up and don't care. Think, okay, fair enough. Not good enough for me. I'm sorry if that hurts some people, but it's not. And it's not because I should go and support another club. It's because I grew up on the premise and the understanding that Liverpool Football Club, the most successful club in English football, exists to win trophies. When did that stop being acceptable? When did it stop being acceptable to be ambitious? Have I, or anybody else, asked for Liverpool to be put into a precarious financial position? Have we asked for 300 million to be spent on Mbappe? No, we're realistic and we're reasonable, but we also know when we're being taken for fools. And I don't like being manipulated and taken for a fool. So I'm going to speak up because somebody needs to give a voice to people that feel the way I do. Mohammed Usman Khan said, faith in Tyler Morton to do the job if required. And I've no problem with that, sir. But here's the kicker on that one. We'd have sold him if they got an offer of 20 million quid. So the only reason Tyler Morton's still here is because we didn't get an offer of 20 million quid. Read all the journalist comments, read all the reporting. He was available to be sold as well. Nobody paid the money. The only opportunity I'm aware of was Leverkusen on loan for the season, and Liverpool wouldn't do it according to reports because there was no guarantee to sell him at the end of it. So again, we're talking ourselves into believing or thinking the best about somebody who the club have already been willing to sell. This is the point I'm trying to get across, bro. We're now trying to rethink and readjust our viewpoints with what we have, and that's commendable. I'm not going to knock people for being optimistic. I'm just saying I believe that optimism isn't well placed. Danny LaRue said, Craig, I'm raging, mate. Honestly thought we had something up our sleeves late in the window. This is not good enough. Look, mate, I feel the same as you. I feel let down. I feel frustrated. And I feel like we were that 1-6 away from believing we could actually win the league. Now, I'm not telling people not to believe that we won't win the league. You reach your own people. I'm just giving you my viewpoint. And my viewpoint is, I know as the season goes on, that players are going to pick up injuries, be fatigued, they're going to travel around the world playing internationals, referees are going to screw us over, and the same stuff that has haunted us in campaigns past that we haven't addressed will come back to haunt us again. This is the second season we've been needing a centre-back. This is the fourth season we've been looking, or third year, we've been looking for this mythical number 6. Harry Klein, how are you, Harry? Said, praying Edwards has masterclass stats for Bajcetic. Yes, we all honestly hope Bajcetic does really well. Of course we do. But I can't help but feel that they're willing to write off a year while he hopefully becomes the player we all believe he can be, and then that solves the problem. They haven't been proactive, in my opinion, trying to solve the problem. And again, I love Stefan Bajcetic. I've praised the kid never-endingly, talked about what a great signing it was, talked about how I believe in him, and I still do. And I completely understand the loan to Salzburg. He needs to get minutes. I think it's the right decision. But it's inexcusable to once again not fill the main area of weakness that we had before the window opened. You can try to tell me about Endo, but I will absolutely tell you without any hesitation that Arne Slot doesn't rate Endo in that position. That Arne Slot doesn't think he's good enough to play week in and week out, or he'd be playing. So, Casper, unfortunately, mate, this doesn't mean anything. Changing profile pictures, and they're used to it. Action is what's required from people if they're unhappy with the owners. Speak with your wallets, speak with your feet. John and Hughes will get the PowerPoints out for Trent, said Harry. Nadal, how are you, sir? Said, big up, friend. We as fans need to be louder and Liverpool channels need to unite and force FSG out. Voice, because we're done with this nonsense. Look, each individual channel, publication, podcast is absolutely free to make their own minds up and do their own thing and have their own views. Where I draw the line is when they mock the rest of us because they disagree with us. They don't engage with us. They don't have a viewpoint that maybe we have a point. It's just, again, we are so better than you. We know more than you. You are irrelevant. Yada, yada, yada. So I don't know what other channels and viewpoints are, but I do know that I'm fed up and I can only speak for me. So I hope more Liverpool channels are coming together and speaking up, but I fear a lot of them won't, for the reasons that you and I both know often go unspoken. But that is, if you speak up, if you don't hold the company line, you don't get anything. Unfortunately, I've made peace with that, and I'm going to continue to be me, speak my views, try to be as articulate as possible while I do them, and try to make sure that people like yourself, Nadal, and others who feel the way I feel, at least feel somebody is giving them a voice. Somebody is in their corner trying to speak up. That's all I can do, my man. Sam said, data geeks in the club see our injuries last season. So again, I think if we're to have some credibility to this, just drop the word geeks. But yes, we've had injuries. Look, we've rolled the dice on a few occasions under these owners. We rolled the dice when we brought in Ben Davies and Ozan Kabak, and we were absolutely blessed that Alisson scored a header and we got into the Champions League. We rolled the dice by not bringing in a centre-back last season. The season before last, and it ended up with us not being in the Champions League the following campaign. We have not addressed these issues. We've continuously weakened the squad, moved on big wages, and done nothing with it. Everybody was bragging about 18.7 million quid saved from Adrian, Matip and Thiago leaving. Everybody was talking about what a war chest we would have. Everybody was talking about the 3 positions we needed to strengthen. We've turned a profit. Again. Ryan Wright, how are you, Ryan? Said, wouldn't shock me if FSG only signed Chiesa because he's cheap and they hope it's a distraction for yet another terrible window. Shenanigans, cheap. On its own, Ryan, I absolutely understand the Federico Chiesa signing. If we're to talk about the opportunistic phrase that's been thrown around this summer, I think that is the epitome of a good opportunistic signing. I have no issues with that signing, mate. Nor do I think that FSG just did it to make some of us happy. I think they looked at the numbers, Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes, and seen that there was great value there. And I believe that there is. And I hope Federico Chiesa comes good. So this isn't about me not wanting to get behind Arna or the players that are there. Of course I want to get behind them. Of course when the whistle blows on Sunday against United, we're going to be backing them. But we have to be able to have a voice. We have to be able to challenge the owners of this club without just constantly being vilified for doing it. It is tiresome and it is lazy. Embarrassing by FSG, mate. Our rivals are laughing. Yes, Dave, I believe that they are laughing, mate, unfortunately. Zoldberg said, FSG doesn't care about the noise from fans because they know Liverpool fans will never unite like United fans can against the Glazers. Too many bootlicker channels and outlets do their bidding. Ever since I've supported Liverpool, thinking back as an adult, there's always been, Zoidberg, some division amongst the fans. Usually the contention had been the availability of tickets. You've got the people who obviously grew up in and around Anfield and had season tickets and had that easy availability to get to games a lot of their life, suddenly facing this situation where the club have a greater demand for tickets. The Premier League television rights and the game being beamed all around the world has meant that the game has become unaffordable to many people, locals and non-locals alike. And that division has always been there. And I've always hated seeing it. I've always hated seeing fans being pitted against each other because of a lack of availability for tickets. I've always understood that. I've always understood the frustration. But then I heard Ian talking about that sweet point. That sweet spot where there's always excessive demand. And stuff like that just disgusts me. Because fans shouldn't have to be fighting and arguing with each other over tickets or the price of them or why some can afford them and some can't. I just don't like it. And it's always existed, unfortunately, as I've been an adult and a Liverpool fan. Fimble FIFA said, have we been closely linked to a centre-back, as we were told? I've said all summer, mate, I don't know of one name. We've seen hypotheticals. We've seen Inacio reported. We've thrown out the names of Antonio Silva. We've seen Jared Branthwaite. Lacroix, the young centre-back from Wolfsburg, signed for Crystal Palace today for 21 million. Will said, it's just frustration. You can't have a new manager, ship so many players out, buy one player, and then believe fans will trust you on the challenge for trophies. Of course. That to me, Will, seems quite rational, what you've said. But for some reason, rather than people maybe just even acknowledging what we're saying, people go straight to vilifying us. Again, let me bring this post up one more time just so you can read it. Just got out of a Blood Red Live podcast. There were a lot of angry Liverpool fans on it who hate FSG, and some would sooner the club become like Chelsea and Man United. How is that helpful? Could it be that maybe those Liverpool fans who are angry have a point? And I don't know of one Liverpool fan in my friendship circle, in my community, who wants Liverpool to be like Chelsea or Manchester United. Not one. And I doubt there was anybody in those comments saying they wanted to be like it. But, as always, it's easier to look down your nose and punch down at people than maybe address and own up to the fact that you know that you're doing the club's bidding. You know that you are facilitating this nonsense from these owners just because you want and need the access. It's not healthy and it's disingenuous. Nick said, do you think the hard-headed approach from our transfer department in terms of the either it's our guy or nobody approach is a slippery slope into mediocrity? Cheers from Illinois. So I think it's dangerous, Nick, because how many years now have we been trying to get this number 6? So yes, of course, we all want the best fit. Absolutely. And of course, we all have immense respect for the work Edwards and Hughes do. But we also know that this is season number 3, that we failed to address the position. Now, how many years does this need to go on before somebody is found that can do a job in number 6? It used to be, we were told, how could we achieve on the likes of Alex Oxlade, or how could we improve on the likes of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, yada yada yada. All those players are gone, proven not good enough, and now all of a sudden we're still here. Bare bones squad. It's just not good enough. So I don't know, Nick, if it is sliding back into mediocrity, but I would pose the question, are we just being too pedantic? Are we being too fussy? Have we maybe got to temper down our expectations in the data department a smidgen, or in the recruitment? Does it have to be 99% on every threshold? Because we could all, as fans, name 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players that we would have signed this summer. But a lot of this stuff is just leaps of faith. We're expected to have a leap of faith that they've done everything. We're expected to have a leap of faith that they're pushing to try and make everything happen. But we don't ever see the results of that. Invincible MC, and thank you for your super chat, said, if 2 or more of Maka, Gravenberch, Morton or Endo get injured long term this season, do you think we'll look for someone in the January window? I don't think I can answer that question honestly, because I don't know the answer. And if we did, it would again be out of desperation and not going in to try and sign from the strongest position is what I would push back on. I just don't understand it. Like, whatever journalist you follow, whether it's Fabrizio, whether it's David Ornstein, whoever it is, we've all seen the reports that we were told Liverpool were working to get stuff done. That we were told Liverpool were leaving no stone unturned, and what we needed: a defender, a midfielder, and a utility forward. Some even argued for a possible left back as well. None of it. None of it. Chiesa in on its own, a good value deal. But let's be honest as well, if Chiesa was 50 million, he wouldn't be a Liverpool player right now. Hoarder, how are you, mate? Said, so Craig, we need to tie up our 3 players. I would agree with you. I can only give you my opinion on what I think happens on these 3 deals, of course, because I'm not inside the conversations. But Trent, maybe I'm being too optimistic here, but I think Trent will get resolved. Certainly when I've spoken to the likes of David Lynch and others, there's optimism on that front. You can talk about maybe having to overpay a bit or whatever, but I think we find a way and resolve Trent. I think the club need that win publicly as well. Virgil and Mohamed, I'm more confused about. So, obviously, again, I'm not inside the Mohamed Salah camp, but it seems as if there has been no offer put to him yet, and that the offer that may be put to him probably wouldn't reflect financially where he thinks he should be or what he may be able to get elsewhere. I hope we find a resolution with Mohamed Salah, that he can get a 2-year extension, maybe with the option of a 3rd, because we all know that Mohamed Salah can add to the squad. I just, again, would ask and question the logic of allowing these 3 players to get into a situation where they can potentially now walk away for free. And I don't know how that's good business. Virgil's our club captain. Trent is our vice captain. And Mohamed is the record goal scorer for us under the last two managers. And all of these guys are sitting there feeling most likely like, are they wanted? Are they valued? Why have they not been offered new deals? They certainly won't be looking at the club and thinking, well, the club are doing everything possible to strengthen here and to build for the future. That's how I see it anyway. Jason Hammond said, why do you think Michael Edwards came back after he knew what FSG were like? And also, why can't we buy somebody and mould them into what we need? So, first part of the question, again, not knowing Michael Edwards, I would assume that an offer was put to him that he just found too tempting to resist. Whether that was the acquisition of another club or just an exciting new role. I don't know. And why can't we buy somebody and mould them into what we need? Again, I can't give you the answer to that question, but we've been told pretty clearly that it has to be the guy, the one that's going to come in and make everything better and be better than everybody else. But they can't cost too much, they can't want too many wages, and heaven forbid there's somebody like Lenny Yoro who values themselves and might want to actually come in and start playing. Again, every time one of these guys comes up, there's a reason we don't make the move. Even when we were all told very plainly and very clearly that should Real Madrid not pounce on Lenny Yoro, that Liverpool are there in the wings waiting to get the deal done. Am I wrong? Only when it come time to get the deal done, we wouldn't pay it. We didn't think he was worth the money. And then we hid behind not being able to give him the guarantee of playing time. Even though he's potentially a generational talent of a centre-back. Make that make sense. Chris. Sorry, mate. Let me get this back up on screen. Chris said, didn't realise that Nat Phillips has gone on loan, so only 4 centre-backs, and I don't class Joe Gomez as one now, so only 3. I'd started to come to terms and peace last night, thinking, right, we got Varela in, if we get him in, we can have a 5th body, at least, with Nat Phillips. And we're covered. Now, Van den Berg's gone, Phillips is gone, and we're down to 4, as you've said. One of them who I also think more of as a fullback these days. And we're supposed to feel grateful that we kept Joe. I mean, we just haven't done enough. It's as simple as that, mate. We are 1 or 2 injuries away from a crisis again. Jamal, thank you, my friend. Said, just want to say thank you for your hard work. As frustrating as the windows have been, you've given us a place to come together and vent our frustrations. Really means a lot to me, mate. Thank you. It does, Jamal. That means a lot. Because I won't lie to you, but it hasn't been an easy window from that regard. Because I know when I come on here and I give my viewpoint that immediately there are going to be certain sections that, again, just look down their noses at us and vilify us. And my life would have been a lot easier to just toe the company line and be a good boy. But I do these things and say these things because they are sincerely what I believe. I don't do them for effect or impact. I say what I believe. I give credit where it's due. I celebrate when it's due. But I also call out bullshit when I smell it. Bricktop said, crescendo. Imagine going to a Hughes Edwards FSG firework display. It would be a packet of sparklers followed by a cheap and nasty Catherine wheel. Yeah. But here's the thing that really gets me, Bricktop. Here's the thing that really boils my blood. Do you remember in July when we were all saying, can we get moving now, please? Can we do something? All of us were told, be calm, be patient. The club are working on it. You've already been told it'll be August. And we said, heard this before, a little bit sceptical about it. And now here we are, once again, having the I told you so conversation that none of us want to have. I don't want to be here. I was far happier last night wanting and being ready to put my hands up and admit that they'd got a player in and that we were ready to go if they got Varela. And I was ready to hold my hands up, like I said, and acknowledge that they got it right. Fair play to them. But they didn't. And once again, we've all been strung along, manipulated, and another window has been and gone. And we haven't done our job. Darren, how are you, Darren? Thank you for your comment, mate. Said, if we can't... Oh, sorry, Darren, let me get this one screen for you. If we can't buy a number 6 in 3 or 4 windows, how are we going to replace Virgil, Salah and Trent next summer? No wonder Klopp left. Only so much he could do. This is one aspect of it, Darren, mate, that we haven't even really acknowledged yet as a fan base. Again, there's a lot of optimism and hope and faith being put in these positions, being solved to a satisfactory standard. I don't know what the future lies for those 3, mate. But even if 1 or 2 of them don't sign up, next summer we have a lot of work to do and a lot of big positions to fill. And again, excuse me for saying this, but I do not have faith in these cheap owners to put their hands in their pockets and bring in the best in those positions, because I have not seen in my time supporting Liverpool under FSG one time they've done it where they haven't had a boatload of cash from a sale like Coutinho. Last summer we spent 90 million net. This summer it feels like we were making up for that by bringing money back in. Some fans need to think Juve had Chiesa on a transfer list, so we signed him for the low fee, good business. Otherwise, there was no incoming player. Exactly, Nessie. I mean, I remember saying in June, somebody's going to get a bargain with Chiesa because Thiago Motta and Juventus have said very clearly he's not part of the thought process and he's been excluded. So somebody was going to get a really good player there, and we got him. And that's sound. As you said, that's sound in and of itself. And that is an opportunistic signing, and one that should be celebrated, but not as the only piece of business for this season. And I think that's the point you're making, Nessie. Carl said, if I was a United fan, I would love FSG. Enough said. Essex Copbite said, not signing a 6 in 3 years is like having a leaky tap, ignoring it for 3 years and then wondering why the pipes have burst and caused the flood in the house. Right, I'm going to go through what we do know today in the news and what has happened today. So bear with me 1 second while I just grab my notes here. So, Middlesbrough for Ben Doak. There was reports, I think, from Dave O.C. Cop initially thinking that it was going to be Hull City who were in for him, but it ended up with Middlesbrough. On top of that, Nat Phillips has gone on loan to Derby County. Another centre-back option out the door. I don't know, can someone keep me up to date with what's going on with that Jadon Sancho Chelsea deal? Because I said it to you the other night and people thought he was nailed on for Juve, but I'd been hearing that Chelsea was more likely. Even Arne Slot today said, I'm not expecting anything, but if we see an opportunity, we would act. Actually, Arne Slot was speaking a little bit about Stefan Bajcetic, and I just want to read you out some of what he had to say. Speaking about Bajcetic going on loan to Salzburg, he said, he's a very important player for Liverpool after he completes his loan move to Salzburg. I hope it'll be a big year for him because he's a very talented player and I think he'll become a very important player for us. But only if he gets playing time now. He could have playing time over here, but we've got 6 or 7 very good midfielders. So his playing time here will always be more limited than we expect him to play at Salzburg. So for him and us, we think it's best for him to play at the moment instead of maybe playing a few times and then being on the bench for a long time again. It's very difficult to keep a player fit who's been out for 15 months when you can only play him once in a while. So this is for the long term. Again, this club has been smart, in my opinion, for not only looking for the shorter term but also for the longer term. It's a smart decision, at least in our opinion, to let him go somewhere where he will hopefully play a lot of games. Then, for next season, we'll have a player, if he fulfills his potential, could definitely play for us in the future. So, let me unpack a little bit of that. I agree with many of the points Arne Slot made. I agree about that being a good loan move for Stefan. I agree about him needing game time for his development and him not being probably able to get enough of that here. I've no problems with that. But it feels very much like this is again a look to the future where Stefan might come good and might solve a problem. But in the meantime, we're ill prepared for another season. Well, we hope that a talented young player develops into the player we hope that he can become. A lot of hope and faith going there. And another season without that number 6. So look, I also hope he does well. But I feel like we're already getting prepared here for a lack of a number 6 down the future as well. Josh Williams said about Stefan Bajcetic's loan, he thrives under Linders, comes back looking good next summer, and Liverpool decide he's their new 6. It's already written. I believe that as well. I believe exactly that. So Federico Chiesa wasn't included in the Italian squad for the upcoming international window, meaning he'll get to stay at Anfield, work with Arne Slot, stay at Kirby, work with Arne Slot, and hopefully get some good minutes. Obviously find somewhere to live and settle his family in as well. So bit of news on that front. What's this? 1 second. So Sancho is going to Chelsea with a loan with an obligation to buy him next summer. IK said 5 out of 10 window for Hughes. For me, it's a 3 out of 10 window. I love the signing of Mamardashvili. I do. I think it's really good planning for the future. Again, I've nothing against and fully appreciate why we made the signing of Federico Chiesa. I love how excited Federico Chiesa looks. He genuinely looks buzzing to be here. And I hope he's well. And I hope he enjoys it. And I hope he becomes the player we all believe he can. But again, I look at it this way. There was 3 goals in the window. And the most unimportant one we've addressed. And the 2 main ones, centre-back and central midfield, we haven't. And for me, that's a 3 out of 10 window. Every other top 6 club needed to show ambition has done it except us. I feel this way as well. Mate, I feel this way as well. Just a reminder, Crystal Palace have signed so many centre-backs today. We've signed as many players this summer. Yeah, they brought in Lacroix from Wolfsburg for, I think it was £21 million, if I've seen correctly. And they've kept hold of Mark Gay as well. So they moved on Anderson, brought in Lacroix and kept hold of Mark Gay for another season. You'll already see the articles written like they've already been put out to say that Liverpool will revisit Mark Gay next summer. Why? Genuinely, if Liverpool's plan is to revisit Mark Gay next summer, why? Why not get him this summer? Why not? Why wait till he's another year more established as an England international? Palace already wanted 70 million this summer. I don't understand the thought process of waiting till next summer. Could have gotten him this summer if he was the guy. Do you think John watches the show? I very much doubt it, Jonathan. I very much doubt it, mate. We definitely need to get rid of Hughes as he's the main man, doesn't have a clue. Look, again, I don't know what's happened this window with Hughes. It's his first window in. But remember, it's not just... We had Hughes, Edwards, Ward, all at the club with all the data, all the analytics, all the scouting of Fallows and Hunter and everything else that's in place, and we couldn't do our jobs. That's it. Where's the crescendo? Craig Burns had 1 year left. Is that for Mark Gay? Fair enough. If that's the case with Mark Gay, mate, fair enough. But my argument again would be, if he's good enough and he's the guy that was going to do the job, he would have been good enough and should have been brought in this summer. But I do appreciate that point. If he has got 1 year left on his deal, then maybe he'd be a bit cheaper. But it still means it's another year for us without solving the problem, right? Sean said, we gave Zubimendi too much time to haggle. Thanks, John. Zubimendi should have been given 48 hours. That's it. 48 hours. Make up your mind. Do you want to come or not? We shouldn't have to sell the club to you. It is a big club. I mean, I very much doubt this, Ant, mate. I very much doubt this. We'll see Vinny Jr. in 2026. Stan McCaskey said, I think they've set the bar too high when analysing players. I feel similar about the number 6 position, because we're now 4 attempts into getting that player. Tchouaméni, Caicedo, Lavia, Zubimendi. All 4 of them failed. Nessie, thank you for your comment. Slot said, we're happy with the ones we've signed. Chiesa is the one that can help us in the short term, and Mamadashvili is for the long term. Craig, please help me understand, what could this short term mean? I think he's only trying to say that Mamadashvili will be a signing that will help us in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years when Ali moves on. That's at least how I interpret his comments there, Nessie. It can take 3 years to find the number 6, said IK. Mate, I feel that way as well. But I was only saying this to my wife earlier on. That hour or so last night where we were daring to dream about the Alan Varela situation, if I could have bottled the enthusiasm, excitement that was in the chat that I felt, I can only imagine how that would have carried forward into the season, and optimism and happiness, and it was palpable last night. Like, it was a very unique stream for me. Yes, of course it ended with James Pearce telling us that we weren't interested, and he was right. But for that hour, So many people, 6,000 people with us live last night, all hopeful, optimistic, and thinking there's a bright future. I don't think you can quantify and measure that. It's just disappointing. It's incredibly disappointing again. Phoenix Movie Club said, I stayed up with you last night, excitedly following the planes, but Varela might still happen. The Portuguese window doesn't shut until Monday night. It won't happen. That only means that they can bring players into their league. We can't bring players in after 11 p.m. tonight, mate. So all that means for them is they could still go into Europe and bring in a player or two, but we couldn't buy from a Portuguese club because the window here is shut. IK said, I feel it too, buddy. Will FSG standards now be top 4 in a cup? I don't know. I really just don't understand how for some Liverpool fans ambition is a dirty word. I don't get it. Like, none of you, and me included, and none of the unhappy Liverpool fans that I'm aware of want us to throw good money after bad, or want us to be Chelsea. Nobody. I don't know anybody who thinks that way. But we wouldn't mind doing Aston Villa amounts of business, or Spurs, or any other club that at least tries to improve on their position. With us, it's always coaching better, cheaper options. Always. You can dress up any opinion how you want. You can dress up not buying players to be putting faith in the coach and the youngsters. There's an easy way to do that. But it's disingenuous. Because when has it worked? Has it worked in the last 3 years? No, it hasn't. Hey my dude, greetings. I only see you work and I want to know how's your health. Your team looks fantastic. My health is it's okay, thank you. Just really just disappointed about the window, mate. Yeah, nothing else to say. Just disappointed about the window. We've become the new Arsenal, top 4 only wanted by the owners. Someone said, there's still a bright future where Liverpool hold your head up high. You see, Brian, there's optimism and there's unwarranted optimism. And I'm not mocking you, mate. If you right now feel happy that you can look and be optimistic, genuinely, I wish you nothing but the best, bro. I hope you're right and that optimism is pays through. I just don't feel that same way, Brian. I just don't. Charlie Kelly said, I'm disgusted at the lack of investment. As am I, Charlie. As am I. And I promised myself tonight that I wasn't going to come on here and shout or scream or swear or give people an easy get out of jail free card to vilify us all by saying, look. You're not getting that out of me tonight. Because tonight you have a genuine frustrated fan base, let down by the owners once again. And I'm not going to give all these people that think they're better than us the ability to point a finger at us and get a cheap get out of jail free card today. It's not happening. I'm not being baited by a comment, and I'm not willing to sit here and give these elitist arseholes the ammunition they want. Luke Belton said, watch the club announce a contract for one of the 3 in the next few days to try stop the backlash of not signing what we need. Of course, mate, we could have predicted that ages ago. And here's the thing. Of course we're going to be happy about that as Liverpool fans. It's natural because we want those boys to stay. So it should be that that's a given, right? Because Trent shouldn't be in this position. We shouldn't have to even have this conversation about Trent. The fact that they've taken their eye off the ball and allowed this to happen, and it hasn't worried some people, that in itself makes me question, are they really sincere in their backing of the owners? Or are they just so far removed from reality that somehow this makes sense? Because to me, it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense how Trent Alexander-Arnold is allowed to get to this position. And a club that needs to make every penny count could potentially lose a £100 million player for nothing. Cleo, thank you. You didn't put a comment in, but thank you nonetheless. Craig, as it stands, this squad is 2/3 of a season before fatigue kicks in, and that's if we're lucky with injuries. I agree, and history has taught us that not strengthening in the positions where we have a hole in the squad has cost us. It has taught us that. Well, it's shown us that. Whether people have learned the lessons or not, I guess, is up to them. Mohammed, this is the biggest angering and frustration of the window for me, mate. Because Bobby Clark, to me, looked like a very, very good young player. And Bobby Clark never looked out of place on the pitch. And Bobby Clark was given a new deal and was always spoken about as a really good player. So for him not to be loaned out, but to be sold to Red Bull Salzburg for 10 million quid, it makes no sense to me, bro. It makes zero sense to me. Loan him out like you did with Bajcetic. And people will say, but Craig, there's a buyback clause if he wants to sign a deal to come back. And judging by how he left, I don't think that's likely. So we've once again alienated another young player. And we're supposed to be able to attract more young players to come through and show the pathway through when a promising young player like Bobby Clark wasn't given a chance. Sepp van den Berg wasn't given a chance. So how are we supposed to believe in the vision of the progression through the ranks when the players who are promising and the club have given contracts to get sold for a mere 10 million quid? Are we that hard up for 10 million quid that we had to sell Bobby Clark? It just doesn't make sense to me. Leon said, have I missed anything with regards to a signing? Not with regards to incomings, mate, no. Nat Phillips has gone on loan to Cardiff for the season. Ben Doak is going on loan to Hull. Not Hull, Middlesbrough for the season. Stefan Bajcetic's loan move to Salzburg has been confirmed. He's going to wear the number 8 over there. I think Cade Gordon could be going on loan if he hasn't gone already, actually. I think was it Derby County, if my memory's right, or I can't remember actually who it was for Cade Gordon. I've been so busy today trying to figure out other stuff, I haven't had a chance to look at that. Oh, sorry, let me get that back up on screen for you. Cleo Pereira said, we as Liverpool fans don't even expect to sign star players. We just want players who can improve the team for the season. Yes, Cleo. And this mad situation we find ourselves in, where for 3 years we've tried to fill the number 6 role and haven't done it. It's infuriating, Cleo. 3 years. And we haven't been able to solve it. 3 years. I can't think of any other walk of life or any other business where it would acknowledge that there's a gap or a problem that exists for 3 years without it being solved. Nicholas Platt said, embarrassing when the captain calls for signings. And do you know what's even worse, mate? I feel like he was thrown under the bus because he said he had faith and belief in the people to do the right things, and they didn't. But we're all idiots. Your own captain said he believes the club will get the business done they needed to get done. The manager said the same. And we're supposed to believe that everybody's happy and this is some part of a master plan. Norwich for Gordon. Thank you, mate. Thank you on that one. Norwich for Craig Gordon. Thank you. I just feel really disheartened at the minute. And going into a massive game this weekend, of course, as well. And on that, I recorded the preview for the United game. It's going to be coming out at midday tomorrow. So I'm off tomorrow. So that video will be the only bit of content going out. So make sure you have a look at that and let me know what you think of it. Again, despite the lack of positivity and upbeat nature in Liverpool, I'm a-coming to bring the positivity and the fun and the noise and the vibes and the great musician and the great stand-up comedian. And we're going to make sure that Liverpool has something to be happy about November 15th. So if you want to come along and join us, get your tickets, the link at the top of the chat or in the description. It's an all-ages event. Everybody's welcome to come along. And we can't wait to get back over and revisit the city and say hello to everyone again. Will, how are you, bro? Said, Craig, surely Arna would have been sold the club's ambition by FSG. First window, first signing, and a player we don't need. I would say I wouldn't say we don't need. I would like a bit of competition for Mo. I've said that for a while. And again, I have to try and be honest about this. I don't have any issues with the business we've done with regards to the two signings we've made. I've no complaints about them whatsoever. My complaints are about what we haven't done. So the business we have done, I think Georgie Mamardashvili is going to be a really good goalkeeper. And it's going to be interesting to see the battle between him and Alisson. And I feel that Federico Chiesa wants to be here. Looked really excited about being here. And I hope he succeeds. And I'm fully behind that signing. I'm not going to try and say otherwise. But it's the stuff we haven't done that for me is the problem. Leon said, I understand in an ideal world we would have the signing we want. For the first time, I think we'll be okay with what we have. A solid CDM though. Again, look, that's your opinion, Leon, and I respect it. My point of view is, if the squad was assessed, and it was decided that Zubimendi was required because he was, now, when we didn't get him, we're again going back and we have to acknowledge that the squad that was already assessed and was lacking in this one particular type of player still hasn't been given this one particular type of player. And that to me, mate, is a failure, quite simply. But, of course, I'm not trying to say that we don't have a good team. We do have a good team. And that's what makes it all the more infuriating for many of us is we know we're not too far away. We know that some of the business that we did last year was very good business. We know that the club have some very good players. We know about the likes of Trainioni coming through, and we want Trey to do well. Great to see Connor Bradley come through, and you have not heard many more excited people than me about Connor Bradley at right back. So I'm not against these young players coming through, but I can't get my head around the young players coming through and then being shipped out like Bobby Clark for a minimal fee. That I just can't get my head around, bro. Any rumours for the last hour? Let me just check in on one thing, mate. I don't believe so. One sec. What's this? So Ben Doak has completed his move to Middlesbrough on loan. He'll be managed by Michael Carrick, and again I would say, like Lewis Steele said, safe pair of hands. So yeah, that has been completed, and Ben Doak has gone on loan to Middlesbrough for the season. So wishing him all the best in his loan with Middlesbrough, and as he said, I'm sure he is in good hands with Michael Carrick there. Brian, who comes from a money background, by the way, and works in that industry, said those Ian Doyle comments are embarrassingly absurd and lazy. Unfortunately, this seems to be the current state of journalism in the social media age. Love to you all. Exactly, Brian. Journalism, mate, for me, and I'm going to leave your comment up on screen for a while, obviously to say thank you for your generosity, but more so to speak about your point. I need you guys, if you can, drop a like for me. Remember our great streak of 1,000 likes. If you haven't, please do hit that like button. So, Brian, for me, mate, journalism, of course, is about bigging up the club. Of course, it's about portraying the best aspects of the club. But you also have to be objective, right? And you have to be willing to ask difficult questions of people who are in power, regardless of whether you believe that could land you in a little bit of trouble. And for me, and I've spoken about this over the whole summer, I don't feel that the current state of journalist-club relations is healthy, because there isn't any dissenting voices. There isn't any room for dissenting voices. And that, my friend, is worrying. Because if you're American, Brian, right? Can you imagine a world where journalists weren't allowed to ask questions of the president because they are difficult questions that the president might not agree with? We wouldn't accept it in that walk of life. We wouldn't accept it in our educators. So why should we accept it in football? I don't like this rule by fear. If you're not willing to give everybody a voice and a chance, then you're being disingenuous to your own club. So the journalists that are given access are always the ones that toe the company line. Always the ones that don't poke the bear, and are always the ones that are rewarded for that loyalty and parroting of opinions, while the rest of us get ignored, painted, vilified, mocked and laughed at, just because we dare question the narrative. FSG, get out, waste of space, not fit for this club. The weird thing for me about FSG is there's a couple of easy wins for them. This is what I don't get. Like, despite what Ian Doyle says about this and Liverpool fans wanting to be the next Chelsea or Manchester United, that's not the case. That number 6 and a centre-back and this fan base would have been in a very different place. Remember, I'll take you back to just last night for that 1 hour where even I, the harshest critic of FSG's transfer policy, was willing to put my hands up and say fair play if we got the players in. But we didn't. Lewis Mahan said, I think the opportunistic approach to the market was always bound to fail. Hughes has done a poor job. Opportunistic in the context of FSG is cheap. That's what opportunistic means. And in and of itself, that's not always a bad thing, because sometimes there are bargains to be had, like Federico Chiesa. But when that is the extent of your business, that to me is where the worrying point comes in. And that's where opportunistic shows up once again with these owners to be cheap. And this, by the way, have you seen the tone-deaf nature of the pins that the club gave out when opening the hospitality sector of the Annie Road end? Because they've also now divided and frustrated and annoyed a section of the families of those 97 people who lost their lives at Hillsborough. And that I can't fathom. I'm not going to speak about it too much because I don't want to add to their hurt. But it's tone deaf yet again. And it was an easy, avoidable fix. Jack Nichol said, this is Liverpool, this means more, what can we do? We can stop buying into those cheap cash catchphrases like "this means more" and all this other crap that they just use to sell the club around the world, but they don't actually back up with a lived experience. What happened? Again, Yannick, I've literally just said to you, bro, I'm not opening up the can of worms and going into it. I brought it up briefly as another way of showing how tone deaf the owners are. There's an article about it on The Athletic. Have a read of it for yourself. They certainly will explain it way better than I could. But it was an utterly avoidable issue. Shall just leave it at that. Would you class this window as a failure if we win trophies this season? Yes. Again, we're talking about the hypotheticals. Let's look at history. Last year, with 6 weeks to go, we were in a title race. And we fell away because of fatigue and a lack of depth. And it's happened time and time again. So I look at those seasons where we were 1 point short or lost in a Champions League final and wonder what might have happened in Jurgen Klopp's time had he been given the backing that he should have been given. Again, these are all just personal opinions, and everybody's opinions and everyone's lived experience of supporting the football club varies. But I can only ever speak from my perspective. And I've always said it, and I'll say it again, I hate looking back on Klopp's era at the club and feeling like we could have done more with investment for a once-in-a-generation manager. That's how I feel about it. I'm appreciative of the things we did win. I'm appreciative of that European Cup and of course of breaking that 30-year wait for a league title. But I would have bet my life that with those one or two more strengthening signings, we could have had a little bit more. Swift Guyver said, if we win trophies, it'll be down to Slot's genius and good luck with injuries. Yes, it will be in spite of the window, not because of the window, is how I'd phrase it. Craig Morton, you didn't put a comment in, bro, but just want to acknowledge you and say thank you. So thank you for that, Craig. Mike Briggs said, having only 4 centre-backs scares me a lot. What are your thoughts? I'm flabbergasted, Mike. Absolutely flabbergasted. Last night, again, to go back to the whole potential Varela situation, I was thinking, okay, we've got 4 centre-backs and Nat Phillips. At least there's a body there with some experience if we become stuck at centre-back. So to then get up today, Mike, and see that he's gone on loan to Cardiff or Derby or wherever he's gone, and that's another option gone, and Sepp van den Berg's gone, and that's it. And I'm supposed to genuinely look at that situation and feel that if we picked up an injury, because remember how we all felt when Kwanzaa went off at half-time against Ipswich and we thought that was an injury. Remember how that fear and that dread came in very quickly. That will happen again. If Virgil picked up an injury, we are fucked. And this is the same Virgil, by the way, who the club haven't yet seen fit to give a new contract offer to. Cleo Pereira said, when we had a generational manager in Jurgen Klopp, FSG just wasted his talent by not giving him enough budget to conquer the Premier League, and now they're doing the same with Arne Slot as well. I'm going to go back to a phrase, Cleo, that was uttered out of Jurgen Klopp's own mouth. The only problem about Jude Bellingham is that he's not available. Remember that? When he was available, what did we do? Sat back and watched Madrid sign him. Remember earlier on this summer when the Echo and every other journalist wrote about the fact that if Real Madrid don't get to sign Lenny Yoro, Liverpool are ready waiting in the wings to pounce. Real Madrid decided to walk away. And what do? we see these same journalists patting the club on the back for doing the same as Real Madrid. And how that's such a great stance. Meanwhile, Manchester United stroll in and sign the kid. Now, they've been unlucky and he's picked up an injury. But again, I'm going to ask, where's the accountability? They say, expect if Liverpool don't see Real Madrid acting, that Liverpool will come in, because they fully believed he was going to Real Madrid. And they didn't think it would become an issue until it did. And then once again, they were shown up to be bullshitters. Chris said, gutted, but back to boys on Sunday. 100%, of course, Chris. Right here, 3 o'clock on Sunday, I'll be right behind the lads. But until then, mate, it's time to vent and get this out of our system, because we've rightly felt shafted again. We need 50+1. Corporate clubs are dictatorships. Yes, unfortunately, I think that ship has sailed, mate, because football clubs are too expensive now for that 50+1 rule. But say what you want about Real Madrid, Barcelona and the like, but at least their socios, their members, can vote the presidents out if they're not pulling their weight and doing their job. We have to be looked at, lied to, and say thank you. And if we dare not say thank you, we're lunatics. When has vilifying a group of people ever worked out well? It doesn't. Dialogue, open communication, and easing of concerns, or at least explaining a perspective, is what usually brings people together. Jordan Hunnable said, Ian is a disgrace, that is all. Honestly, Jordan, I think that is one of the most tone-deaf posts from somebody whom I don't know personally, but it reeks of arrogance, of elitism, and of laziness from somebody who's a journalist that is supposed to be there to question and ask questions on behalf of its readership. Not just blow smoke up the club's arse for the sake of it so you can get into your press conferences and get your exclusive interview with John W. Henry. That's not what you're there for. Sterling to Arsenal. So Sterling's gone to Arsenal. I genuinely wouldn't have wanted him. Sancho's going to Chelsea. It's alright though, because we signed Federico Chiesa, so what else could we have possibly done? IFI Mustard, Craig, it can be argued we lack a couple of first choice players to make LFC a genuine title and cup winning side. We struggled defensively and FSG failed to strengthen. That's my perspective. Exactly that, mate. One or two and we're there. And it's a decision not to put that one or two in. It's a conscious decision. And it's not good enough. Cod Patrol said, lazy, entitled journalist. Facts. Yes. So, do you remember when people used to hold the Echo in quite high esteem? Read through the comment section now, if you can get a comment through, by the way, because whatever their AI or their threshold for toxic comments are, it's pathetic. But read through and see what their own readers think of them. That's if you can not have some type of an issue watching the page resize 50,000 times. Will you try to fight your way through the ads and pop-ups to read the nonsense that's written on there? Jordan Hunnable said, it's just so utterly frustrating, so close and let down once again. Yeah, and unfortunately, mate, so utterly predictable that this would be the way it all pans out once again. And yet still, Jordan, somehow, mate, somehow, some people still think that the owners are geniuses. Taylor said, Craig, you and this Anfield Agenda community has made this disappointing transfer window better, so thank you all. Hey, look, that applies to me, back to you guys as well, Taylor. I'm far more angry than I've matured a little bit or something, I don't know. But I made a point of coming into this stream to deal with that Ian Doyle comment and not lose the plot. Because every urge I have is to scream, to shout, to be angry. But I don't want to let my community down by giving them that easy out to vilify us. So I'm going to hold and bite my tongue, say what I have to say, and try to be as balanced as I can. But I'm really, really angry about this window again. Our squad is good. We can still do well. Remember Hicks and Gillette. Fuck me. So again, in your world, the bar is here and we have to stay that low. How about remember winning the league title and how you felt? Remember not strengthening from a position of strength when you've won the league title in the European Cup. Why is the bar always remember the very worst times? Because I could equally argue, remember the times where we won multiple European Cups and were dominating English football. I'd rather think about and aim for those times and that threshold rather than accept mediocrity at Liverpool Football Club. That's not the Liverpool Football Club that I grew up watching and loving and learning about. It's not the standards that the likes of Phil Thompson, Graham Souness and Stephen Gerrard, Kenny Dalglish and others strive to get to. It's not the bastion of invincibility that the club was built to become. Those standards are the standards of losers, of also Ren, not people who have ambition to win. So I would argue, my friend, that you've got that bar way too low and you need to raise your ambitions and your level to what this club is synonymous with, which is winning. Harry said, can already see the Endo and Gravenberch centre-back duo. From the Cove said, if the club has a good season, wins a trophy or two, does that change the grade of this window? No, my point would be that would be us succeeding in spite of the lack of strengthening, not because of. It's in spite of, in my opinion, if you're to win a trophy or two. Because with the signing or two, I would say we could have won a trophy at 3 or 4 if we won 1 or 2. So look, again, it depends on how you view the world, I guess, and what your perspective is. And if you're somebody that views the world in this situation as a glass half full, then absolutely more power to you, and I'm not going to belittle you for it. I just can only tell you how I feel. Chris Chan said, what happened to the youth? Yeah, we sold them. I don't know what your point is about your comment, whether it's a smart arse one towards me or not, but we sold Bobby Clark. We would have sold Tyler Morton, who will now be pitched as a viable alternative to us as fans in the number 6 position, even though we're willing to sell him if somebody came in with 20 million quid. Sold Sepp van den Berg, who again, some journalists were trying to convince us was good enough and was going to fight for his place at the club. I always told you that there's a number, and if somebody gives that number, Sepp van den Berg goes bye-bye. Sepp van den Berg has gone bye-bye. Have we replaced him? No, we have not. Dave Ebbard said, remember the old Liverpool, Keegan, Phil Neal, Jim Case with managers Fagan, Paisley, Shankly, etc. Won championships and European Cups. We want to get back to that feared club. Exactly, mate. Exactly. And none of us here want the club to be put in financial jeopardy or danger. None of us. But we know we're not doing all we can do. Or sorry, not we. We know these owners are not doing all they can do. Ben Richardson said, selling all the youngsters is sinful, especially Bobby Clark. Truly, that one will be one that I will never understand. If he was good enough to give it a contract extension to, why did we then so quickly take 10 million quid for him? I don't get it. I don't get it. Andres, thank you. Said, hi Craig, you're a stand-up guy. Thank you for telling the truth and for always defending Liverpool supporters. I love this club no matter what part of the world we're in. So all I can say to you, Andres, is I speak my truth, how I feel, and I try to give a voice to people who feel like they're being looked down upon or aren't good enough for various reasons, whether that be how long you've supported the club, what part of the world you're from, what your take is on the owners. I just try to speak for those people because I was one of those people. And I know it annoyed me because it's not the you'll never walk alone ethos that we all grew up wanting and believing. And it's not the real world experience I've had when I've gone to the city of Liverpool either. Lovely people, warm, friendly, hospitable, knowledgeable, clever, articulate, funny. But for some reason, online, and it seems to exist mainly online, there's a group of people who feel entitled and elitist and better than everybody else. And those are the people that I'll never ever shut up calling out. Never. Christopher said, this is a 2 max out of 10 window. Embarrassing. Here we are now, 35 minutes from the window shutting. And the whole day we've known nothing's happening. Nothing. Horger, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, bro. Appreciate you. Joseph, thank you, mate. Craig, there was a comment at Anfield Watch tonight regarding late arrivals stating, despite Chiesa's arrival, the Anfield faithful can be pleased with the manner which FSG have done business. I don't even know what to say to that, mate. I don't understand how anybody thinks the Anfield faithful can be pleased with how FSG have done business in this window. I mean, I find that bullshit, quite frankly. Has Lewis Kumas been sold? No, he's gone on loan, Ben. He's gone on loan for the season, mate. And done very well so far in his loan. I think he scored in his latest 2 games. Dino said, loyalty is a great trait, but an easy one to exploit, and FSG know that all too well. Yes, Dino. They know it. Football fans are like that pet that you can kick and keeps coming back because it loves you. And it has an undying loyalty to you. Now, obviously, I'm not advocating for anyone to kick their pets. I'm just trying to articulate my standpoint. And we just keep coming back because they know our love for the club outstrips all of the frustrations and angers because we're fans for life. But that's why I find all the more galling that these cheap owners who are custodians of this football club get credit for the basic bit shit that improves their bottom line, like the main stand and the Annie Road end, that you and I pay for and everybody else pays for, and they want a round of applause as geniuses for making themselves more money in the long run. David Haight said, we sold/loaned everyone that could have been depth. We have success this season. It is in spite of FSG. We'll support this club and people, but my God, FSG mouthpieces lying and gaslighting is gross. I'll just add one more thing to that, David. The elitism of these people who look down their nose at the rest of us. It rubs me up the wrong way, mate. It really does. Imagine writing for a Liverpool-based publication, or at least that serves the Liverpool area, and speaking about Liverpool fans in this way. There are a lot of angry Liverpool fans who hate FSG, and some would sooner the club was like Chelsea and Man United. I think he should hang his head in shame for that comment. But then again, probably has no shame, because he can't in good conscience know or believe that he's right. He doesn't. Kabir said, Craig, just saw your collab with the Irish guy. Nice prediction. Thank you. It was, look, always happy to do stuff like that, as I said before. Really like Michael, aka the Irish guy. He's a lovely guy. And when he asked me to do the prediction, I was no problem. I was always going to do it for him. I really like him. I do anything for him, to be fair. He's a good lad. And I'm glad you enjoyed it, mate. Thank you. Ben Alfred said, maybe Klopp was correct. Edwards is a numbers man and not the Messiah. So, again, I would just like to say Edwards isn't the sporting director. Richard Hughes is the sporting director. Edwards' job is to oversee Richard Hughes, but ultimately Richard Hughes will be the man that does most of the contract renewals, player acquisitions and sales. So, you know, maybe there was a bit of a crossover period in this one because it was Richard Hughes' first window, but it was a failure. No matter, I don't know who people want to pin that blame on, but it's a failure. So, Sam Lynch again. People complaining about transfers is hilarious. Our team is incredible right now. Sometimes it's about change the system instead of buying players. Here's the thing, Sam. If that's right, why were they looking to sign players? If that's right, why were the journalists being briefed that a midfielder, a centre-back and a forward were being brought in? So, Sam, the fact that we've won 2 games against Ipswich Town and fucking Brentford means nothing other than the start of the season that was reported and articulated and backed up with statistics to be the easiest start of all 20 Premier League clubs has you lulled into such a false sense of security that once again you feel like you can just mock the rest of us. The manager told them he wanted a number 6, mate. The manager. Is he wrong as well? So you might think it's hilarious, but I think you're very wrong. And when the wheels fall off, you don't get to come on whinging and moaning and being angry about it, because you've no fucking right to be angry about it, because you weren't angry at the right time, Sam. You weren't angry when these problems could have been resolved. The detective said, in reference to Ian Doyle, who said anything about Chelsea or United? We just want to be competitive and improve the squad. Nobody is the answer. But of course, he gets to feel a lot better about himself by thinking he's brilliant and the rest of us are idiots. He's just vilified a whole group of fans and tried to belittle their stance that maybe the club could do a bit more. And no, rather than maybe weighing that up and thinking, maybe they have a point, maybe they don't, he's just gone straight to mocking them. And straight to the very worst case examples that don't exist, by the way. Because all of us know, not one person in our friends group, in our WhatsApp groups, wants to be a Chelsea or United. Not one. But far easier to vilify people, isn't it, than really look within and question your own existence in what you're doing to represent this Liverpool community. Jamie Doyle said, there is zero reason whatsoever we couldn't fill a couple of positions. None where Liverpool we should have been turning players down with clubs of our stature. So, John, I've personally been to Anfield over 35 times. So, again, John, you feel like you're superior to the rest of us, but you're just another ignorant dickhead who doesn't have the intellect or the ability to articulate an argument, so go straight to insults. I've personally been over 30 times, and that's just me. So, already you're disproved, but you won't admit that because it's far easier to come on and mock people than actually contribute to it. So go back to being an irrelevant little fuck that goes and trolls in chat rooms, mate, while the rest of us will have a civilised, fair, balanced, honest conversation without the likes of you. And to go back to your point, is somebody in Australia who maybe can't afford to come over to Anfield fake fan until they need their money? So they're not entitled to an opinion because they haven't been to Anfield more than twice. Maybe economically or for other reasons they can't make that trip, but they do get up and watch early every morning or late every night. They do buy the jerseys, they do pay their TV subscriptions, maybe they have a membership to the club. Does their voice not matter until their money is needed? And then all of a sudden it's you'll never walk alone, we're all one. People like you, mate, and that viewpoint are the real embarrassment to this football club. People who don't actually understand what this club is about and what unites people around the world about it. These people that you are quick to mock are the very people that travel out of their way to meet supporters groups to watch games together, that get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to drive to a restaurant where the manager's good enough to open up for them to come together and support their team, to feel that unity and that sense of belonging. And then there's arrogant pricks like you that believe because you fell out of your mother's vagina in a certain part of the world that you get to look down your nose at these people who dare to love the club. Have a think about that. Really sit down tonight and think about that, mate. Can't wait until Christmas time when we've to play the under-10s in midfield, said Peter Duffy. What am I on about? I'm on about the guy who said that all the people complaining about FSG won't have been to Anfield twice between them all and that we're all idiots. That's what I'm on about. The people that are mocking the rest of our fan base because they fell out of their mother's vagina in a Liverpool postcode. FSG over the next few seasons will strip the club of all its prized assets, just like they did at the Red Sox. They're all about the money. Who said that? Go back through the chat. Scroll back up through the chat. So Vernon, I can't really speak to the Red Sox, mate, because I don't know anything about Major League Baseball. But I can say I've known enough Red Sox fans who are unhappy with the ownership of FSG. But as I said, I don't feel I can add anything to that conversation because I don't understand the workings of Major League Baseball. Coutinho 10 said, have you ever watched a Liverpool game at 4 a.m. and got to work at 7 a.m? Don't tell me that we Asians have no passion for the club. I know, mate, it's disgusting. And I've told you this story many times, but this channel started out of my frustration for the exact type of attitude you speak about. Because I was sick of it. I know and I've met many people from Australia, America, Malaysia and other parts of the world who, like your good self, have made all of those sacrifices, have had to go into bars at 10 p.m. because the bars will close the doors at 11 for games that start at 2, have had to get up early in California, the SoCal Supporters Club, to meet up to watch a game at crazy o'clock. And you make sacrifices that most of us wouldn't make. I moan about having to get out of bed for a 12:30 kickoff. So I am in awe of the people like yourself who make that sacrifice and support this club. So to have your support and your love and loyalty ridiculed and mocked by people who aren't fit to lace your shoes disgusts me. And I'll always speak up for you. No matter what it costs me personally, what it costs me career-wise, I will stand with you because I know how you feel. And it's disgusting. Will, thank you, mate, for your super chat. Appreciate you. Ringo said, as an Everton fan, I understand because we have a lot in common. Thank you, mate. Appreciate you. Look, I'm going to say goodnight to you all and just record a little recap to tell you about the loan moves and a few bits and pieces that have happened. I won't be live tomorrow. It's my day off. So there's a preview that's going to come out about 12 o'clock. If you get a chance, have a look at it. Let me know your thoughts and my predictions. I'll see you at 3 o'clock on Sunday for the watch along. We always start an hour beforehand. Hope you can join us for that one. At least we'll see Andre in the Prem now, said Will. Yeah, we'll get to have a look at him, mate, and we'll see how he gets on. So yeah, much love to you all. Drop a like before you head off. Hit that subscribe button. But most importantly, have a great weekend, and I'll see you all on Sunday for the game. Much love.